Hi, I'm Chad with Move For a Guitar. This lesson is from our series, How to Memorize Guitar Notes. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how you can use what I call vertical triads to help you memorize all the notes on your fretboard. First off, if you like all the diagrams from this series, including the diagrams from this lesson, you can download our free e-guide, Memorize Guitar Notes. But I am working on it right now as I'm filming this lesson, so it might not be available as you're watching the lesson. But once it is available, a link will pop up on the screen that'll allow you to download it. And like I said, it's free, so there's no reason not to download it when it is available. This is part 18 from our series, How to Memorize Guitar Notes. If you'd like to go back and start at the beginning, you can click the link on the screen. First off, if you don't know anything about triads, check out our series, Music Theory for Guitar. It's just a free series on YouTube, so you can just go watch that now. And that's going to give you everything you need to follow along with this lesson. I talk a lot about triads, how to build them, where they come from, and so on. And what I'm going to teach in this lesson will not only help you memorize the notes up and down your fretboard, but it's going to also improve your playing in a lot of ways. It's going to open up a lot of doors for your playing if you haven't done stuff like this before. So first off, we're just going to take a triad starting on the first, second, and third string. And we're going to use close position triads, and if you don't know what that means, that's in the music theory lessons. You can go watch that and learn all about it. And it doesn't matter what key we start in, I'm just going to start with C major triad, which is a C, E, G. Those are the notes in the C major triad. So all we're going to do is you play the triad and you visualize where these notes are and really make sure that you see that, for example, this finger's on a C, this finger's on an E, this finger's on a G, and where those are landing on the fretboard. You're not just going to want to do this by muscle memory. That's not the point of this lesson because you're really trying to memorize the notes on your fretboard, not just play triad shapes. So you can play any triad starting on the first, second, and third strings, but we're just starting with this shape on this string, which is root position. So you're going to take your highest note, move it down an octave to an adjacent string so it becomes your lowest note. And now you have another C major triad, but it's actually in second inversion because if you know your theory, G is the fifth of the C major triad, and now your fifth is in the bass, so that's second inversion. But don't worry too much about that. That's not too important for this lesson. But this is still a C major triad. It's just an inversion because the C is not the lowest note. And then you're just going to keep doing the same thing. You're going to take your highest note, move it down an octave. Your other two notes will stay in place this whole time. So move the highest note down to the lowest note. The other two notes stay. So now you have another inversion. This is actually first inversion. And then you can do it again. Move your highest note to the lowest note. Your other two notes stay. And now this is root position again, but on the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings. And again, do this slowly and really visualize where these notes are and where you're moving this note. So if you don't have these shapes memorized, this actually makes it a little easier for memorizing the notes because it really forces you to think, if I'm moving this note to this string, because I'm keeping them all in adjacent strings and this is moving to the lowest note, you really have to visualize where the G is on this string, which is right here. If you really know your shapes, you could probably do this a lot quicker with muscle memory, but again, the point is to really visualize where these notes are landing. So that was root position. Then you could go through the inversions and do the exact same thing. So this is first inversion, moving up on the first, second, and third strings. You would just do the same thing. Move your highest note to the lowest note on the next adjacent string, and that would be another C major triad that went from first inversion to root position, but don't worry too much about that. Just really focus where you're moving those notes. And then you could just keep doing it until you've reached the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings. And then again, you could do it moving up the neck to your next inversion and do the exact same thing. So like I said, this is something really good to practice, not only for memorizing where your notes are, where these are all landing, and how to move a note from one string to another, but this is something really useful musically. And if you play, you're going to see that it sounds really good musically, and it's really going to help you visualize where your triads are, which triads are really important in music if you don't know that already, and can be used all the time when you're accompanying other people or when you're building chords, or even if you just want to play voicings of chords that have less notes in them. They're just really, really useful in music. And then once you've gone through major, which we were doing C, so that was C major, then do minor, so C minor, it'd be the exact same things. You just move your highest note to the lowest note and keep them all in adjacent strings. Once you've done minor, then you can do diminished, do the exact same thing, and then you can do augmented as well. So like I said, if you don't understand triads, this might not be very useful to you, so go watch the music theory lessons. It'll really help you out. But if you do know your triads, at least the basics of them, this is not only going to help you, like I said, memorize the notes on your fretboard, but really lock down where your triads are and give you ideas for how to use them and really hear the differences between triads and what they sound like. So it's good to do this exercise for many reasons. And of course, once you've done it in C, you can do it in other keys. So move it to any other random key. So start with a G major triad or whatever and do the exact same thing. Then do it with G minor, G diminished, G augmented, and then eventually you really covered all your neck by doing it with different keys. So that's how you can memorize notes using vertical triads. Go ahead and move on to the next lesson where I'm going to show you how you can memorize notes by finding unison triads. And be sure to download the e-guide. All the diagrams are in there, and be sure to subscribe because we have at least one new lesson every day.